Hello my fellow gamers. Today I'm going to be talking about video games, specifically FPS games, first person shooters. I'm going to be talking about a specific one, and that game is Team Fortress 2. TF2 is a game that survived the test of time, despite its few flaws. Released all the way back in 2007, god this game is old! Despite this, TF2 remains as one of the most well-known games of all time, beloved by many for its charm, creativity, and absurd amount of humor. But let's not pretend it's perfect. Neglected updates from the developers, technical limitations, the bot crisis, which was a literal nightmare. But people are still playing this game, me included. So how does it continue to thrive in the competitive and fast-paced FPS genre despite all of that? Hey, my name is Jeremy, and I'm going to be figuring out how TF2 has survived within the FPS genre and why it's still one of the best games ever made. Let's go! Now, to understand TF2's massive success, we need to look at its history. Now I know, nobody wants to learn about history, it's boring as hell, but hey, I'll make it quick. Now the history of first-person shooters began all the way back in 1993, starting with the iconic Doom, which could only be played on floppy disks at the time, due to memory space, and Quake by id Software. Soon, FPS games quickly became one of the most popular gaming genres, and mods played a huge role in this evolution. A mod, put simply, is a file made by someone that you can download and add to a game, that changes or adds something in the game's files, such as textures or dialogue. But some mods are completely new. Some mods are a completely new game that changes everything and has its own unique story. A good example of this is Sonic Robo Blast 2, a Sonic fan game made in Doom. Multiplayer, boss battles, animations, and everything. Now even though it's a fan game, fans are making mods for this game regardless, and some of them are really impressive. And this is where TF2's story begins, as a simple Quake mod known as Team Fortress, now known as Team Fortress Classic. Developed by Robin Walker and John Cook, the mod's success caught the attention of Valve, leading to a full-fledged sequel under Valve's name, obviously. Released on Steam, also owned by Valve, TF2's cartoonish art style and unique set of characters stood out in the sea of gritty shooters. But what exactly makes FPS games so enduringly popular?
Hey guys, what's going on?
So I asked the certified gamer I knew some questions regarding FPS games. What makes FPS games as good as they are, and how important is community-driven content into keeping games alive? Here's what he had to say. So Danny, what makes FPS games as good as they are?
So what I think makes good FPS as good as they are, as you said, it comes down to three factors. The visuals, the game style, sound design as well. So like visual effects. So in FPS, if you take a look at Call of Duty compared to something like Team Fortress 2 or Overwatch, they're completely different. One style is kind of like a cartoon based, and then Call of Duty or CSGO, it's more realistic. Sound design as well, I think that's quite important. So like voice lines, the sound, lobby music, the sound design behind the visuals, and connects. So yeah, I think community-driven content is important because they provide feedback to developers. Feedback like that, it gives developers ideas to what to add to the game, maybe events. Some communities, they take it into their own hands, make DLCs, new skins they can add. Yeah, that's all I can really think of.
Alright, well thanks Danny, my certified gamer. Wow, truly inspiring stuff. Spoken like a prophet. Now, unlike many FPS games, TF2 doesn't take itself too seriously, it's blatantly obvious. Its gameplay is fast-paced but accessible, with distinct roles for each of its 9 classes. The artistic and comedic tone to the absurd voice lines, such as
Scotland is not a real country! You are an Englishman with a dress!
sets it apart from its peers. Let's compare it to a few other big names in the genre. Counter-Strike, known for its tactical gameplay and a fiercely competitive fanbase. Overwatch, another team-based shooter but with a more modern monetization model and a hero-based gameplay. Call of Duty, a franchise famous for realism, high-octane action and yearly releases. And Fortnite. Screw you, I'm not talking about Fortnite. Now despite these huge competitors, TF2 carves in its own niche. Most FPS games are team-based, meaning that you need to rely on each other to win the game. But in Team Fortress 2, you can take on many players all on your own. In fact, the team in Team Fortress 2 isn't too relevant, considering how each class can instantly kill you by playing well. This can be done even easier with the large range of weapons each merc has. In other games like Call of Duty, you have all these advanced weapons and names. TF2 is like, Well, here's a fish in a frying pan, so go nuts. You can even kill players in unconventional means, like some taunt kills, rock, paper, scissors with the opposite team, and a few others. Now let's quickly talk characters. Not all FPS games have actual characters, just a skin. Now Overwatch does have characters, but they're not as iconic as TF2's, and I think this meme sums it up pretty well. Quirky scientist, Buddhist robot, former criminal seeking redemption, and TF2 is just a bunch of lunatics. They do not care. They didn't even question that they're killing themselves in different colored clothing.
I think sometimes in the life I'm too competitive, you know, it's good to be competitive on the...
So you get the point. The match can start like this, and 5 seconds later, everyone is dancing around them. Now, some of the hardcore sweaty nerds are probably thinking,
but what about TF2's competitive side? I'd rather play a game that's really competitive and not a silly casual game like this.
dude, what are you, IGN? While its casual mode is where most players find fun, its competitive mode, though a little bit flawed, shows that TF2 can stand toe-to-toe with esports giants within the media. TF2's history in esports is pretty interesting, and while it never reached the heights of games like Counter-Strike or Overwatch, its unique gameplay ensures it's still beloved by its competitive community. They also hold community events. There's a 6v6 mode like most FPS games, and a 9v9 for one players every class.
And now for something completely different.
One of the most significant moments in TF2's history was its transition to free-to-play in 2011. This shift brought in millions of new players and introduced cosmetics, items that allowed players to personalize their mercenaries without disrupting gameplay. While other games relied on pay-to-win mechanics, TF2's monetization model focused on optional fun cosmetics, taunts, and stamps for your hat which support your favorite maps. But it's not just the hats that make TF2 special. Though in the actual lore, the amount of hats you had signified your wealth, so people were getting shot for not having hats. But it's the community, the memes, the fan art, the community projects that keep TF2 alive. And this brings us to TF2's secret weapon, its community. User-generated content has been the life support of TF2. From maps and mods to fan projects created in Source Filmmaker, the literal engine that Valve uses to make animations, they just released it to the public one day. Free as well. The community ensures there's always something fresh to enjoy. This creativity has allowed TF2 to remain vibrant when official updates were slowed down for over 7 years, and there are thousands of things made for TF2. MSS Blue, Team Fabulous 2, Rise of the Epic Scout, and hundreds more. And custom community maps like Death Run, Prop Hunt, Trade Servers, MGE, 100 players, class vs class, all weapon stats times by 1,000, and mods. And one good mod is this. So there's this game called Undertale, and I don't know too much, but I know that this is a boss in the game. So a bunch of guys came together and decided to, make a map where you fight it. And let me tell you, it is impressive, absolute cinema. You don't see stuff like this in other games like Fortnite. This is amazing. Most games don't even let you make your own stuff. And there are many, many more of these sort of things. Some of them just as good, even better. Some of them questionable, but most of them are pretty good. So, what sets TF2 apart? Well, it's a mix of its unique identity, simple gameplay, clever monetization, and most importantly, its passionate community. Overall, TF2 is a well-made sequel of creativity, humor, and just a really fun game in general. As long as the players keep it alive, TF2 will continue to endure as one of the greatest FPS games of all time. TF2's insane community prevents the game from being turned into dust and just being forgotten. Because of the constant content made by the community and its fans, it continues to thrive among all other big FPS games out there. It's just a really simple game that anyone can enjoy, even if you've never played games before. Maybe that's what makes the game so beloved by everyone. Or maybe it's just because it's funny as hell. And well, that concludes this video. Hope you learned something, what makes this game so unique, and other FPS games as well. Well, thanks for watching. There is one more question I'm sure some of you were thinking. This is a really good documentary, but why did you pick this topic of all things? And to answer that, I don't know, I just kinda felt like it. I had to change my idea halfway through. Look, it was either this, or the Industrial Revolution and its effects to the pizza industry. Which is probably more interesting. Look, I just wanted to talk about it, alright? Bye guys.